Hello, Zalto Live listeners. Before we get started, we wanted to let you know that more teachings from Zen monk Claude AnShin Thomas are available in his two books, At Hell's Gate, A Soldier's Journey from War to Peace, and Bringing Meditation to Life, 108 Teachings on the Path of Zen Practice. Both are available wherever books are sold, and all proceeds go to the Zalto Foundation, dedicated to promoting nonviolence, awareness, and positive change.
Hello and welcome to Zalto Live, the podcast featuring Zen Buddhist monk Claude AnShin Thomas, who will share with you his life experiences that includes not only military combat, personal violence, and addiction, but also healing, transformation, and the ongoing joy of everyday life. Please enjoy listening.
AnShin, I'm curious if you could share some what a byproduct is for you as a result of your practice.
I would say that I have a sense of equanimity and connection with the world around me that I never knew existed. And I can't tell you when I became conscious of that, but it's a very real thing. There's a warmth connected with that. I'm making an effort not to attach any kind of emotional label to it, but there's a warmth connected to it, and it's also there's a real power. The other thing that I've just become acutely aware of how this whole process of inherited karma and created karma. I become acutely aware of the mind. How the mind shapes the world as I perceive it. And as a result of that, I have developed the capacity to be able to become the observer of my thoughts, not rejecting them, nor allowing them to control me, but becoming the observer of them. And then with a quality of patience, see what of those thoughts were accurate, true, or not. Because I've come to understand how the world just sort of unfolds for me. It's constantly directing me and informing me of what to do and where to go, and how and what decisions need to be made. I just have to be responsive to that question. Gabi, and then Genrai, and then Mike, and then Kyoto. See if I remember that.
I have a question about the bells on the non-bells. When you are in front of the altar, there's a bell in front of the left bell, the left Buddha and the Buddha in the myth, but there is never a bell to the Buddha on the right side.
Yes, there just isn't. That's how I was trained. Yes, I never. They said do it like this. I said okay, no problem. Doesn't matter to me really. Let's see. So then it was Genrai.
Did you have moments when you thought that you cannot continue on with this practice? And if so, for whatever reason?
Never. No, there have been moments when I've considered how I continue on with it, but not whether I continue on with it or not. Mike.
What do you do for fun and relaxation?
I mean, I don't even consider those terms. I mean, fun shows itself to me. It shows up in all kinds of different places, and I don't worry about relaxing. I mean, everything I do, there's not a time to relax and a time not to relax. Within the context of everything I do, there are moments to relax and moments to not relax. They exist constantly. So I don't say this is work and this is relax. This is fun. I do this to have fun, because then it's all about my getting the world to conform to my ideas of it. Sometimes, fun shows itself in all sorts of different ways. Like I'm in the process of redoing kitchen in one of the houses, and we chose a rather different color to paint the kitchen, and that process was both fun and not fun, and then painting. There were moments, like for example, to take the old kitchen out Miyoko helped me with that. And there were moments of that were just really, it was just fun. And so it was both work and fun. And the same was painting. As I was walking over to begin the painting, it was some dread. Geez, all this work. But then when I got into it, it was like fun. I like it, just painting. What I like about it is that over the years, how good I've got these things. And so that's why I say that thoughts that rise up in my mind, I don't take them as absolute fact. I pay attention to them and then just continue on and see how things unfold for me. Kyoto.
Regrets can be a way to be present to our past action, to our error, in a way to not repeat it.
I think regrets is a way to avoid being present with them, because there's not one thing that I can change about the past. And I heard somebody say that the past is in the past, the future's not here yet, all we have is a present moment. But that's a misunderstanding of the present moment. If we're really present with this moment, all things are here. The past is here, the future is here. All things exist in this moment. So to have regrets, it's just sort of a waste, for me it's a waste of energy, because there's not one thing that I can change about what has happened. That doesn't mean that sometimes it doesn't mean that I don't have guilt about some of the things that have happened. It doesn't mean that I don't wish that things would have gone differently, but I don't really dwell in that a lot. It does surface. I'm glad for it, because it means that I'm not, it's really a sign of how, for me it's a sign of how present I'm willing to be and able to be to the overarching truth of my life. Question. Kenshin. And then Hans-Jürgen.
Would you share a little bit with us how you relate nowadays to your hand that is missing a piece of your finger?
It's actually not missing.
No, I know, but it's cut off.
Yeah, I mean it's been disposed of somewhere. They took it away. Yeah, I don't even much notice it. I mean, I have it's just the way it is now. I do have to laugh sometimes though. There's moments of frustration because of course when I close my hand like this, there's a gap here. So sometimes when I pick things up, a handful of stuff, things fall out here, That can be frustrating for me. Also, when I had to learn how to do something differently, like my typing, it hasn't slowed down much. I just had to adjust and I don't often go for this finger anymore because I've sort of routinely made the adjustment. I don't have any sadness. There are times that I remember the accident, or I remember the event, and I can just feel it, and that's unpleasant. However, it's just the way it is. Hans-Jürgen, yes.
Sometimes I feel like I'm surrounded by people who suck energy. Is that just my fantasy?
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't really know. People can only take as much energy from me as I allow them to take. And there are some times when in my commitment to be of service, there are some times when I just have to understand that it's only about, it's about giving. I have to give just to give. And I observe how people take just to take, and it can be quite exhausting. However, it is my commitment, and so I need to make friends with that somehow. It's also quite sad for me when I see how narrow-minded, how narrow people's experiences with the world around them. It's really quite sad that they don't even notice that all they're doing is consuming, that they're disconnected from the larger world of which they're a part of. They don't realize how they just consume what I offer. They're just rather ignorant of that. But I always reflect back on some of the stories I've read about the Buddha's awakening. So when he achieved this great awakening sitting under the Bodhi tree, Mara showed up, visited him again, said, okay, Shakya, you did it. You broke through. You've done what few people are able to do. But now that you've achieved this, like, who cares? All these people out there, they're not going to care. So I have an offer for you. I got all this great, wonderful stuff that I can offer you, right? Forget about those people. And for a moment, Shakyamuni he went, let me think about this. But then quickly he said, doesn't matter. He said, if one person that I encounter through the rest of my life has the possibility to wipe the dust away from their eyes, then what I've done has been worth it. And so I live with that. And my intention is not to wake people up, but to just be steady and consistent with the essentials of the basic essentials of practice, and not get too in my head about it all, to not get too full of myself about it all, but just stay steady with the very essential basics and keep offering that again and again. This is why in front of every sitting we offer on Thursdays and Saturdays, in front of questions and responses, in front of the veterans group I do instructions on the form of sitting. I do it again and again and again, because it's important to be done, to remind me to stay rooted in these essentials. So people can only take as much energy from me as I give them, and sometimes it's necessary for me to just give them. Question. Yes, Myo-Shin.
Do you think it's important or valuable to travel to new countries and cultures? Or is it best just to take care of where I am?
First and foremost, it's important to take care of where I am. Now, if where I am happens to be in another country, then I'm always taking care of myself where I am. Is it important to visit other countries and other cultures? It depends on my intent. So I spend a significant amount of time in other countries and other cultures, and I find that immensely enriching. But I'm not there on vacation. I'm not there on holiday. I'm not there sightseeing. I'm there actually immersed in these countries and cultures. I'm immersed in the comings and goings of the social structures, and I find that I find it incredibly valuable. Again, I only go where I'm invited. I don't just decide, I'm going to go here and go, because then I'm just a tourist. But if I'm invited, then people have an interest, and then I get immersed into the societies and cultures in a much different way than if I were a tourist. Question. Yes, Miyoko, and then Mikey, and then Gabi.
So as you age, as you mature, is there anything now that seems urgent that maybe hasn't in the past?
No, nothing. I don't have a bucket list. I mean, there's some things I'd like to do. Like, the only thing pressing that I really would like to do is I'd like to do this 50cc. The 50cc is a motorcycle ride from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast in 50 hours. I just like those kind of challenges, and I like now being the oldest person to do it. That's good. I like it. But no, not really. Mm-mm. And I'm quite okay with my life. I'm quite okay with the way it's unfolding. I marvel at the way it's unfolding. Yes. So it was Mikey.
Thank you, Anshin, for this opportunity for questions and answers.
You're welcome.
My question is, how do you work with the news, especially when it's disturbing and you hear or read about things that are just full of violence or craziness?
First off, I don't watch the news. I just don't do it. Because I know that the news is structured in a way to generate market share and to generate money, to sell commercial slots and all of that. And I know it's designed to appeal to a segment of the population, to feed them in some way. The way all of that is structured is sometimes quite sad for me. That it's often focused on the negative. Now, I do read. Let's see. Every morning I make an effort to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 newspapers. So I read 9 newspapers every day. But I don't read the entire newspaper. I sort of look at them, I screen through the articles, and I keep myself informed. Like I recently did a test on current events that one newspaper offers, and I got 9 out of 10 correct. So I went, wow. But, like I didn't know that I was that I didn't know that I was that cognizant of what was happening in the world. But like one newspaper I read is just because I just read the sports section because it deals with the American football team that I follow, and I read the English language versions of a German language newspaper and of a Spanish language newspaper. So I'm also getting information about what's happening in different places of the world, and I'm watching how these outlets offer up information. But yes, I'm just cautious about what I expose myself to. I don't read a lot about the fighting in the Ukraine. I know they're fighting and I know what that's about. You and I, we've been in war. We know, Mikey. I don't read a lot about. I know that what's going on in the Middle East, but I don't really read. I don't immerse myself in details about this. Everyone has an opinion about that. I am currently reading an article that was written by a former IDF soldier who did his doctorate on moral injury, and I mean it's a wickedly academic article, but I find it quite interesting. I find it very interesting, the perspective, and so I read things. I do things like that, but I'm careful. I don't watch the news. I don't have television. Period. I have I watch films. I have a membership to Netflix and to Prime, although I haven't watched much Netflix lately because I just wanted to watch I watch mostly TV series and PBS TV series, and I like to watch them in English. Sometimes I get tired of reading subtitles, but yeah, that's how I just am cautious around all of that because. Yeah, it can get, if I expose myself too much for it, it can get very bleak for me. It's like, geez, especially the climate stuff. And, it's all just, it seems like there's a lot of gloom and doom. And it's not all that way, but that's what dominates. But within all of that, I find also snippets of really some positive stuff. And I watch one particular news agency online, and they have 2 segments that deal with animals, really nice, really enjoying, uplifting, and another one of their segments deals with sort of curious kind of human behavior kind of things that are just, they're not people. It's not that you laugh at people hurting themselves. It's just curious what people can do, So I like that they bring some lightness and humor into it. Gabi.
Do you also have the possibility to ask questions like in the setting we can do it right now with you?
Do you yourself go someplace where you are the one asking questions?
When I have questions, trust me, I ask them. Oh yeah, you bet. I do. Question? Yes. Kenshin then Genrai.
Okay, my question is, in order to become more aware of the reality of life, do you find it valuable to also study science, for instance, physics, astrophysics, I don't know, biology, chemistry?
All of those things are part of the reality of life. reality of life isn't this or that.
I know, but to study it, you think it's to get more depth, I don't know, view into reality of life.
Well, I'm not so interested in studying astrophysics, but that doesn't mean I don't know about it. People who do that, like for example, the plumber who offers us support, his wife has a PhD in astrophysics. And we've actually we're about to invite them by for a meal. You know, it's like, I'm interested in people's takes on that, but if their whole world is just that, then it's out of balance. Genrai.
Do you sometimes still have strong emotions, like rushes of emotions or waves? And if so, what do you do with it?
I do, and I just have them. Question. Yes, Hans-Jürgen?
With every week passing by where I do meditation, it seems like I meet fewer people. Am I getting funny?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that question. You meet fewer people.
You're coming to meditation sessions.
Oh.
No, sorry. Maybe I should explain better. So the more time is passing by where I do meditation, it's like the less people I meet. So in outside.
Okay.
Sorry, that was my fault.
No, I would say that really the circle of people that I have contact with is really not very big. I just don't need that kind of stimulation. You know, I don't need a lot of people around. I just don't need it. And the people I have around are people who I can trust and who I can talk with and share with and whose company I value, like that. And I think that's something that has evolved in my life. That's evolved in my life sort of as I'm moving closer towards a formal meditation practice and becoming ordained. Because there was a time in my life when I surrounded myself with a lot of people. But, you know, it's like I was alone in all those groups. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. But it's curious though, because here I am facilitating meditation retreats, and I can have anywhere from 25 to 125 people there. So there I am in the midst of all these people. But I have a responsibility to support them in whatever their journey is. I'm not there to socialize or be friends with or like that. Question. Kyoto?
Sport in the dynamic of winner and loser is another way of war.
Oh yes. Yes, I've often said that competitive athletics are just a form of paramilitary training. You can see it here in the U.S. particularly. They sing the national anthem before the games, and they usually have military jets fly over. And depending on the level of the competition, sometimes they have parachutists come in, and they have military parade. They have military groups there with flags, and a lot of the talk is militarily oriented. I mean, I know this from growing up in the athletic communities in this country. So I am not ignorant to that. That being said, I just went to a retirement ceremony, military retirement ceremony, and to be as fully present as I can be right there. It's just dealing with the realities of this existence, not pushing against them, not capitulating to them, but aware that they exist and how to work with those energies in me. This is what's important. Yes, winner, loser. Truth is, there are no winners or losers. That's also a fabrication. Questions? Yes, Genrai, and then Mikey.
Would you say that distractions got more with smartphones, or did we distract ourselves differently then? I just was thinking of retreats, having them without cellular phones, and what do you think about it?
We distracted ourselves differently. That's all. We just created other distractions. Before there were cell phones, there was other stuff to do. Question. Mikey.
Going back to the athletics, when you watch football, what's that experience like for you?
Well, I will say that what I really identify with is the level of commitment that these individuals had to have to their sport to reach the level at which they are playing as professionals, athletes. I also understand the long-term toll that takes on someone's physically, mentally, spiritually. I'm aware of that. But when I watch these people perform, there's a certain, for me, watching them perform is like watching the United States Army drill team when they are marching and they do the thing with, there's just, really, it brings me to tears because I understand the focus and the hours and hours of practice and the commitment to attain the level of discipline that they attain and the skill that they attain. I still find it's like incredible. The person in the front flips the rifle up in the back and the person in the back catches it as everyone's passing their rifle forward. I go, wow, man. How many times did they have to drop that? How many people got hit in the head with that thing, yeah? But it's just, there's something about that that's really, it's like, it's practice in a way. It's just, people just don't quite understand what it is that they're doing. You know, they're focused on just they're focused on the form. They don't have anyone to support them in going to lead them to a place where they have an opportunity to experience what this level of discipline can offer them in terms of waking up. And there might be some in those circles that do. Questions? Yes, Myoshin.
How might you respond to someone who is reaching the end of their life, and their mind is filled with thoughts of disappointment in the outcome of their life, a sense of not having accomplished or what they wanted or gotten the recognition they wanted?
Yeah. I just let them suffer. Really, I'm serious. Because there's no way to overcome that. What I learned from that is how not to be. It come back to Kyoto's question about regrets. And I don't know where it was in the early stages of it was in the first monastery I lived at. It was somewhere in that first 3 years where I just had this awakening that like I'm not a good or bad person because of what I did in Vietnam. I am responsible. Now what to do about that? What I did makes sense based on the totality of the society and culture that I was exposed to and the karma that I inherited through my family. I never imagined my life unfolding the way it has. And yes, there's no sense in, for me, it's just a waste of time being disappointed. You know, I got what I got, and how to take full advantage of that. Well, are there some things I'd like to see happen? Sure, you know. However, if they don't happen, it's okay. It's quite okay with me. I'm not going to have any regrets about it, you know. And that's why I'm doing what's important for me to do, which is to concentrate on these essential tools that have been given to me so that I have an opportunity to become more and more available to the interconnected reality which sustains me. And just to see where that leads me. The curiosity of the curiosity of the journey. Yeah. Question. Kyoto?
Men are mainly responsible for war. War is a way for, is an expression of a man way to think.
That was a statement. That wasn't a question.
No, it was a question.
Well, it came out as a statement.
Yes, because it was difficult to say in English.
Okay.
There was a question mark at the end.
Oh, all right. I don't agree with that. I don't think that war is only the purview of men. I think it can't be, because if it was only the purview of men, and all the women in the world were opposed to war and didn't want to see it propagated, and said no, I don't see how it could continue. I really don't. I think that I always use this example. So do you know what in let's say in the animal world, we'll take birds for example. You have the male bird is very colorful. The female bird not so colorful. Why is that? The male bird is so colorful because it draws the predators away from the nest. And I mean, not only, but that's one of the primary reasons that the male is so colorful. It's the protection of the nest. Now, that being said, the way societies have been structured and conditioned, I am conditioned as a male in this society and culture to offer myself up on a sacrificial altar to protect and serve. The thinking is sort of sideways, but it is how the world is structured. So I don't think it's only the purview of men. I think it's the way societies and cultures have been structured. I also think it's something about, I want to say genetics, but I don't know that that's true. When I look at the animal world, of which we are a part of, I go, okay, so it makes sense in some ways to me. That being said, my whole purpose and commitment to life right now is about bringing an end to war. That starts with me. To bring an end to war in my lifetime, that starts with me. To wake up to the roots of war, violence, and suffering in me and stop perpetrating that. Question, Kenshin, and then Miyoko.
Would you have some examples how you have dealt skillfully or not skillfully with people who try to force their agenda on you?
I have both. I don't really want to go into details about all of that. It's for me not so important. I mean, sometimes some of those situations. Sometimes I'm not hesitant to step into difficult situations. I don't avoid them, as a rule, if it's within my realm of activities. If it's a difficult situation that has nothing to do with my realm of activities, I don't usually step in there. It's none of my business, unless it is my business. Once I step into this, to the drama, to the chaos, to the confusion, to the anger, to the sadness, whatever is going on, I let the circumstance define for me how to respond. And sometimes I do better than others. But with each circumstance, I learn. Each circumstance educates me. It informs me about how my mind works to perceive what's going on, structures a response, and what about that has worked and what hasn't. So I would say there isn't a fixed successful or a fixed not successful. Every engagement is successful in some way because I learn something from everyone. Sometimes I have been known to say some things that were really taken out of context, and that has created unnecessary difficulties. However, I've learned from that. I've actually learned from that. Question?
Was it Miyoko?
Oh yeah, Miyoko, sorry.
AnShin, do you have any sense about that, where we are now in our evolution as a species, that we're on the precipice of something that we've never been before?
No, I don't really. I mean, if I listen to the news, I would say we're on the verge of extinction, right? I mean, we have that capacity to destroy this planet gazillion times over. And we're in the process of just consuming this planet. The best I can do with it is live my life, to learn what works and what doesn't work, to learn how I'm conditioned to respond to the world, to learn to reflect on how I once engaged with the world and how I am now, and just allow myself to continually be able to grow, to become more aware, and to live that out loud. I don't know, See, that's what the bells are communicators, Gabi. And so when I do an opening round, I bow. The bell sounds when I bow to the center of the altar. Then when I'm doing a closing round, then the bell is sounded at the left side of the altar. I have no idea how come. I suppose there's a reason, but it's just not important to me. That's how I was trained, and I just do it. It's not a big deal. It's actually what I like is that I don't argue with it. I don't debate it. I just do it and see what rises out of that. And I make an effort to be as precise as I possibly can be when I do those things, and watch how my mind works with all of that. Watch how my mind can distract me from what's going on or tell me all kinds of stories. So the discipline of practice. I couldn't imagine living any other way right now. Well, I mean, I could imagine, but I don't spend too much time in there.
Thank you for listening to this episode on Zalto Live. If you would like additional information, please look at the show notes or visit zalto.org. That's ZALTHO.org. Our work is made possible solely through donations, so please consider making a tax-deductible gift on our website. We wish you well and thank you.